Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the 2018 University of Pennsylvania Law School academic procession.
Good afternoon. As Dean of the University of Pennsylvania Law School, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the Law School's 169th Commencement Convocation and to serve as your Master of Ceremonies. Please rise for the invocation, which will be delivered, or stay risen for the invocation, which will be delivered by our Dean of Students, Monica Monroe.
We ask for blessings on us as we gather here to celebrate the lives, the work, and the futures of these men and women. We give thanks for the abilities they have been given and for the love their families and friends have shown to them. We give thanks for the dedication of the many teachers, both inside and outside of the law school, who have helped them grow. We ask for guidance in their lives so that their labors may be fruitful and serve the highest ideals of justice. In the city that was the birthplace of American liberty, we ask that these graduates, and all of us gathered here, are inspired to work for justice, for truth, and for the betterment of this nation and the world. Amen.
Please be seated. Congratulations, class of 2018. It is with great pleasure that I address you here today. One of the greatest pleasures of being dean is getting to take part in commencement and celebrate your success alongside your loved ones who've meant so much to you. This has been a year of many great successes and milestones for those of you here in this room, as well as the students in the other classes at Penn Law. But in this past year, we've also suffered loss. This year, we mourned the loss of staff members, emeritus faculty, and 2 current students, including one who would have been here with us today getting a diploma, Justin Hamano, and another student, Jonathan Lumpkin, who began his law school career as a member of this class. And so to recognize this loss that we feel, I'd like to observe a moment of silence to honor Justin Hamano, a member of the class of 2018, and Jonathan Lumpkin, a member of the class of 2020 who passed away this year. Those of us here can honor those we've lost, both at the law school and in our broader families, by recognizing their memory and recommitting ourselves as we leave here today to the work that we do in memory of them. We don't fill the void that's left by their passing, but we honor them by doing our best to work with commitment and integrity during this time that we have in this profession. Reaching this point of graduation for all of you is a tremendous achievement, and it's time to embrace it, to celebrate it as you prepare for the next chapters in your life. Remember all of the challenges you faced, all the hard work you've done, all the success you've achieved as individuals and as classmates and as a class collectively, and remember that all you've done for the community around you and you will do for your community, your world, and your profession going forward. You've contributed tens of thousands of hours collectively to pro bono legal services to people and communities who most desperately need them in Philadelphia and in this nation and in this world. This year you raised a record $85,000 for the Equal Justice Foundation to support even more student service opportunities that will do impactful work out there in the community. Beyond public service, you've internalized and put into practice another core belief that we have here at Penn Law, that the law is deeply connected with the other disciplines around us, and that you're going to be better lawyers by knowing the insights from other fields that we have at this great university. Over 80% of you during your time here took classes outside the law school at Penn, and over 70% of the JD graduates today and a large percentage of the LLM graduates are graduating with a degree or a certificate from another one of Penn's schools. You know as well as we do that the law is intimately connected to other fields of human endeavor, and you're going to be better lawyers by drawing on those other knowledge bases as well as what you learned here at law school. You're entering a profession that is ever more complex and connected around the world, changing in rapid flux and in very unpredictable ways. You can't predict the future, none of us can, but you're very prepared to respond to it, and remember to be adaptable and open and use all the skills you learned in class and out of class when you were here at Penn Law. As you prepare for your first jobs, I implore you to remember that a job is different than a career. As hard as you'll work in your first jobs, as exciting as your first legal jobs will be, for many of you, they will only be the first step in a long, twisting, unpredictable, yet incredibly vibrant and successful career. I have the privilege of traveling the country and the world, meeting with our alumni from the different decades, and I can't tell you how many times I hear people who are doing amazing things in the private sector or the public interest who say, when I came out of Penn Law at graduation, I would never have imagined myself doing what I'm doing today. But fate intervenes, new interests intervene, and they take their Penn Law degree using the lessons they learn in their first job and take it off in directions no one here could predict. And many of you will do that and come back and tell future deans about it. So these new opportunities will present themselves. Be open to them. You're all a group of, in many ways, your path to law school, for most of you, not all of you, but for most of you, took a fairly linear path to law school, hitting all the benchmarks of success. And that linearity is not going to necessarily continue through your career, but you have all the hallmarks of success when your world changes, when your career changes, when your personal circumstances change. When you do something different, you are prepared to succeed, and remember that. You ask, how will you be ready to navigate these new changes and positions? First, trust yourselves. Second, trust the education you received here. And also trust and nurture another attribute that precedes your time here at Penn Law, and that's your basic sense of justice, your basic sense of right and wrong. We can take credit for teaching you to an extent to think like a lawyer, or maybe apropos of our cross-disciplinary philosophy, think like a lawyer entrepreneur, think like a lawyer policymaker. But we don't take credit for making you feel a sense of right and wrong and have this sense of justice. Where does that come from? Of course, a big part of it is those loved ones who raised you, who brought you to this point. And I'd ask the class of 2018, take a moment to thank those of you who gave you your sense of justice and who supported you through law school. And certainly on behalf of the law school, we thank the parents, the spouses, the partners, the friends, the relatives, in some cases the children of our graduates today for helping to make our graduates the principled, ethical lawyers that they are. This class has been one that has talked about and thought about and debated and made your views known and your different views known on some of the most difficult issues we face in our society: race, gender equity, justice reform, free speech, global conflict, and many, many more contentious subjects, all of which can do better with discourse and the rule of law. We are not sealed off from the world, nor are you, in whatever professional setting you're going to be in, sealed off from these bigger issues. And I've been quite proud to see the way you've discussed, advocated, and debated these issues in your time here. In speaking out on issues you care about, you help make this institution a better law school and carry forward a tradition of student involvement that stretches back through the decades at Penn Law. I'd like to read about Penn Law history, and I recently looked at a speech that one of my many able predecessors in the dean's chair gave, Dean Bernard Wolfman, gave in 1970 when he was first named dean, talking about another period of roiling debate on campus. And he said about the students, he said, the Penn Law School has an extraordinary student body, cultured, intelligent, well and liberally educated before coming to law school, deeply concerned with humanity and with human beings. The students are critical of soft platitudes and the givens of yesterday. They are activist and yet highly responsible. Dean Wolfman continued, the students help shake up our agenda. They make us rethink our priorities for action. They ask some important questions that we do not always address on our own initiative on the faculty or initially consider important. They help the faculty approach some problems less rigidly and more searchingly. So this was said almost 50 years ago. I think it couldn't be more applicable to your class. You have helped us think more searchingly. You have brought issues and discussed them and debated them in ways that make us proud and that do yourselves proud. Keep doing that through the rest of your career, and you'll make every institution of which you're a part a better place. So you're going to be moving on after today, but you will forever be part of the Penn Law community. This doesn't end once you receive your degree. We want to see you back on campus. We want to hear how you're doing. We want you to bring your children and, yes, grandchildren back for future visits to Penn Law. This will always be your law school. And on behalf of all the faculty, staff, and alumni in attendance today, you will always have a home here. So I extend my deepest congratulations to you, class of 2018. Congratulations, you're well on your way. Now I'd like to turn to some of our class speakers. And I first have the privilege of introducing our LLM representative, Yuko Takahata. Yuko is a Japanese lawyer and has developed her career in true Penn interdisciplinary fashion as an in-house counsel, gaining expertise in asset management through her experience at Japanese and US financial institutions. Before coming to Penn Law, Yuko worked for a Singapore branch of a Japanese bank handling regulatory issues. She earned a JD from Tokyo University Law School, and please join me in welcoming Yuko Takahata.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Dean Ruger. It is a great honor to speak on behalf of the LLM class of 2018. Last week, I saw many nice pictures you posted on the social media to show how much you were enjoying the beautiful days. I liked most of them, but felt jealous because I was preparing this speech all the time. But that's okay, I can post the best picture today. We had done a lot, and it was not easy for me to summarize this outstanding year. When I asked you what you had accomplished, you told me a variety of academic and non-academic successes. Most of you also mentioned the leadership of the president or vice president. Our president served as a bridge between the different groups and the LLMs and acted as our voice within the Penn community. So I'd like to express our gratitude for the hard work of Mark and Hamza. As our non-academic achievements, we learned the different cultures. We celebrated Thanksgiving, enjoyed very spicy hot pot at the Chinese New Year dinner, and rushed to the Brazilian desserts at the beginning of the potluck party. Not just through these big events, but also during our day-to-day conversations, we learned each other's cultures, histories, and legal and political systems. I appreciate the support of Ellie, Sam, and other Penn Law staff who helped us break down boundaries. In the classroom, thanks to our great faculty, we were able to acquaint ourselves with new fields, foster a better understanding in our specialty, and enhance our practical skills. At the end of each semester, as we all struggled through final exams and papers, we bonded over our pain, and the library became our home. Those who were studying with me were very good neighbors, but sometimes a bit talkative, so I should apologize here to anyone who was bothered by us. Studying at Penn Law was challenging. We have language barriers and unfamiliarity with the backgrounds of the US legal systems. But everyone who held on to the dream all the time has achieved success in their own right. No matter what anyone says, we are all top students regardless of our skin color, nationality, or origin. We have brilliant talent, high motivation, and a strong network spanning over 35 countries. The streets outside this Academy of Music lead not just to our next geographical destinations, but also to our promising futures. This year, the streets were paved by the glorious victory of the Philadelphia Eagles. I am confident that our future too holds exciting things to come. In our next journeys, we cannot avoid hardships, but we will have the support of our friends and families every step of the way. Throughout this year, we had not only celebrated happy times, but also overcome any difficulties together. The LLM class of 2018 is now like one big family, and my experience would not have been the same without you. It is still not easy for women to pursue careers in Japan, so I appreciate the continuous support of my parents and husband to help me realize my dream of studying in the United States. When I visited, thank you. When I visited the Philadelphia Museum, I found a beautiful Chinese box. Carved on the cover are, in Mandarin, 岁寒三友. In English, 3 friends of winter, plum blossom, bamboo, and pine. These plants flourish through the harsh winter, and so they symbolize integrity and evergreen friendship. Next to this box was a glittering silver cup stand with designs of a deer, bird, wasp, and monkey. Put together, the sounds of these animals convey the message: may you receive high rank and salary. Of course, status or money is not everything, but with our integrity and everlasting friendship, we will all become great leaders in the world. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Yuko, for those wonderful remarks. And now allow me to introduce our JD class president, Shelby Stanton. Shelby grew up in New Hampshire and graduated from Chapman University in Southern California. At Penn Law, she's been a student leader all 3 years here. She's a member of the International Refugee Assistant Project, the Journal of Constitutional Law, our class representative body, the CSR, our class student representatives, the Ski Club, and now serves as 3L class president. She has been a summer associate at Hunton & Williams in New York and will return there as a full-time attorney this fall. Please join me in welcoming Shelby Stanton.
When my phone rang in the spring of 2015 and I saw a Philadelphia number, my heart skipped a beat. I thought, that's so nice of them to call to reject me. The director of admissions, Randy Garnick, was on the other line, and when she told me I was admitted to Penn Law, I asked her if she'd ever heard of Kevin Millar. See, Kevin Millar was drafted by the Red Sox in 2003. And when he got the call, he got in his car that day and drove 16 hours from his home in Beaumont, Texas, to Boston's training camp in Fort Myers, Florida, before they changed their minds. So I told Randy, I'll be there tomorrow. She said, Shelby, school doesn't start until September. Penn Law was everything I'd hoped it would be and more. The class of 2018 is intelligent and multi-talented, but more than that, they know what it means to be a friend. Today, I'm going to tell you about 245 of my closest friends. We met at orientation, perhaps the most awkward part of law school, and we played a giant game of trivia. We were asked to form groups and come up with a team name. My team named ourselves Res Ipsa, or Notorious RBG, something very typical of 1Ls. We were horrible. I don't think we scored any points. We were so bad, the orientation leaders forgot we were even playing. Meanwhile, the team that named themselves We're Only Here for the Beer took home the gold. I thought, they must be so arrogant, I'll never be friends with them. Well, one of those team members began a program to raise money for Christmas gifts for the guards and custodial staff at the law school every year. Several spent every one of their precious Fridays off from school volunteering at local high schools to teach students about the Constitution. One will become a public interest advocate. I guess they weren't just here for the beer. Over the past 3 years, we survived cold calls and summary judgment briefs. We rolled snowballs into snowmen with our California and Florida friends who had never seen snow before. We ate challah on Fridays and went to church on Easter. Thank you to the class officers. Each of you embodies the Penn Law collegiality that we are so proud of. Nicole Pennycook has been my right hand at every turn, all the while working tirelessly with admissions to ensure that the next generation of Penn Law students is extraordinary. Chris O'Brien kept the law school running smoothly, and he also threw a great Super Bowl party for us cheaters from New England. Leah Wong reminded me to always come from a place of kindness, and her work was integral in bringing us the honor of having Preet Bharara as our commencement speaker. Two of our friends are not here today. Justin Hamano and Jonathan Lumpkin passed away this year. Losing them was and is unimaginable. In the beginning of the year, when admissions read our achievements and assured us that we would make it to this stage, we never imagined that we would be standing here today without them. Justin and Jonathan will always be part of our class. Now, on behalf of the class of 2018, thank you to the parents and friends, family members, faculty, and deans who helped us reach this stage. My classmates aren't the type of people that carelessly ask, "How are you?" They're the type that want to know the answer. When you miss class, before you can even ask, they send you notes. When you're asleep on the desk in the 4th floor of the library, they bring you coffee. And when you quibble about the rules of evidence, they forgive you. Because that's what friends do. This might be the last time we see each other for a while. We might have to cancel plans and miss birthdays. But when our study group calls, we will always respond, "I'll be there tomorrow." Congratulations, class of 2018.
Thank you, Shelby. Thank you, Shelby, for those very wonderful remarks. Moving to the next segment, we honor 2 faculty members who have been selected by the graduating JD class of 2018 and the graduating LLM class of 2018, respectively, for their teaching excellence and commitment. One of the great strengths of Penn Law is our brilliant and committed faculty, many of whom are on stage with us today, and we're so proud to announce these 2 faculty who exemplify the work that all the faculty do in teaching and scholarship. First, the Harvey Levin Award for Teaching Excellence will be presented to Professor David Hoffman by Christopher O'Brien and Leah Wong. And then the LLM Award for Teaching Excellence will be presented to Professor David Skeel by LLM Class President Mark Diab Malouf and Vice President Hamza El Mahoud. And the Class of 2018 gift will then be presented by Chris O'Brien and Leah Wong. So first, please welcome Christopher and Leah. Chris grew up in Massachusetts, yes, another Red Sox Patriots fan, it seems, and went to Harvard for college. He's the CSR president of the student government and also a class officer. Okay. And I've made a mistake. I'm sorry. So, okay, so Nicole Pennycook is going to present the Harvey Levin Award. And I'm so sorry, Nicole. Okay, yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Pennycook, proud member of the Penn Law Class of 2018 and JD Class Officer. Each year, the graduating class elects one full-time faculty member to be awarded the Harvey Levin Memorial Award for Teaching Excellence. This award is presented to a faculty member for distinguished teaching recognized by the students themselves. Professor David Hoffman is an expert in contracts, law and psychology, and empirical legal studies. His scholarship employs observational and experimental data to explore individuals' behavior to legal rules. But more importantly, Professor Hoffman has shown himself to be a professor that repeatedly goes above and beyond his duties to reach, connect, and engage with his students. So much so that his former students even campaigned on his behalf to receive this award and coined the term Hoffmania. Professor Hoffman began his journey at Penn Law with us in the fall of 2015 as a visiting professor. It seems only fitting to be able to welcome him into the Penn Law family in this way and show him just how much he is appreciated. And so, it is my distinct honor on behalf of the great Penn Law Class of 2018 to present this year's Harvey Levin Award to Professor David Hoffman.
Thank you for that generous introduction. I'm incredibly humbled by this award, which comes from a class of graduates who've had such an important impact on my own life. We began our careers at Penn together, as Nicole suggested. You started as 1Ls at the same time I was here on a very long, year-long job interview. Every day you showed me, a guest to your community, the generosity of spirit and collegiality that marks our Penn community. You've balanced a rapidly changing technological, cultural, and political world, as well as personal and professional tragedies and successes, without losing a sense of yourselves and your purpose. Just in the last semester, you've taught me perhaps more than I wanted to know about blockchain, oil well drilling contracts, the structure of food truck informal agreements, dating app terms of service, the legal implications of National Signing Day ceremonies, and the leases of Philadelphia's poorest citizens. The diversity of your interests and talents is daunting and a little frightening. Looking forward, I know I'll continue to learn from you, and that leaves me somewhat badly positioned in giving you advice before sending you on your way. What can I tell you that you don't already know? I could announce that the world that we live in is increasingly marked by disruptive shocks, but that's old news. I might worry thoughtfully that the future of law practice will look nothing like the past, but maybe it won't. I should warn you that blockchain investments are 99% scams, and you really shouldn't invest the money that you're using to pay back your law school loans in an ICO, but it's probably too late for that. I certainly ought to remind you that giving generously to Penn Law to build its empirical contracts community isn't just a good idea on its own terms. It's an excellent tax structuring advice in a rising market. But that seems awfully self-serving and not last lecture material. So how about this? You should keep in touch with us, your Penn community. We, the faculty, the staff, and the administration are in your corner. If we can help you to achieve your goals, we will. Thank you again for this undeserved honor.
Thank you, and congratulations, Professor Hoffman. I do apologize, Nicole. My remarks were not complete, but I will share with the, just from knowing you, how it's meant a lot to have you at the law school. I know you went to Princeton and are from Long Island, have been a leader, in our, have been a leader in many groups at the law school, helping with admissions, and also a leader in the Black Law Students Association. And I know you make fantastic pies. So I know you're also launching onto a successful career working in New York next year at Kirkland & Ellis. So thank you. Okay. On to the LLM Award for Teaching Excellence, presented to Professor David Skeel by Mark Diab Malouf and Hamza El Mouahid. Mark was recently awarded a Master in Business Law from the University of Assas-Sorbonne in France, as well as an MBA in Management. While earning his bachelor's degree, he also studied in Boston for a year, where he joined the Business School Society of his law school. He speaks French and Lebanese, as well as some Spanish. Hamza is a trainee lawyer in Paris, focusing on mergers and acquisitions. He was recently awarded a Master in Economic Law from Sciences Po, Paris, and spent 1 year as an exchange student at NYU's Stern School of Business. He also interned in the Casablanca and Paris offices of Baker McKenzie, where he worked closely on transactions in African emerging countries.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dean. My name is Mark Diab Malouf. I am the president of the LLM class, and along with the vice president Hamza El Mouahid, it is our great pleasure and honor to introduce the recipient of the LLM Prize for Excellence in Teaching to Professor David Skeel. Professor Skeel is an internationally recognized scholar. We both had the privilege to attend his corporations class in the fall, along with many of our LLM classmates, and many of them even went further by attending his renowned bankruptcy class or his unique Puerto Rico class. Professor David Skeel is not unaccustomed with prizes and awards in teaching. He is the recipient of 3 Harvey Levin Awards for outstanding teaching and 1 Robert Gorman Award for teaching in an upper class. Our class, composed of lawyers coming from different backgrounds and different countries, wish to further acknowledge the excellence of his teaching by offering him the award today.
Professor Skeel.
Ted made me do it.
Yeah, I got you. Professor Skeel knows how to challenge his students, always raising interesting questions and opening up to his audience. His classes can turn into endless discussions, and this is what struck us the most. This is why we loved his classes. Some of his questions made Shritath Pali, CP, sleep several nights in the library, when others challenged Asaf, or, as he calls him, Mr. Raz, incredible knowledge in corporate law. What is important is that for most of us, these questions made us think as the lawyers we aim to be. For all these reasons, the LLM class of 2018 is delighted to offer this award to Professor David Skeel.
Thank you so much. That's really sweet. Even by the standards of Penn Law LLMs, this year's LLM class, as you've already seen this afternoon, is a truly spectacular class. Many of my very best and most memorable students, one of whom was, several of whom you've just heard from and one of whom you've just heard about, are in this year's class. So I'm particularly honored to receive your award, and I'm looking forward to the great things that all of you are going to do. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Professor Skeel. Now we're on to the presentation of the class gift by Christopher O'Brien and Leah Wong. Chris did grow up, he's still from Massachusetts. Still a Red Sox fan, and went to Harvard for college. He was the CSR president and a class officer. In a past life, he was a singer-songwriter and has stayed involved with the light opera and other events at the law school. Has been, like many of you, committed to Philadelphia legal assistance during law school, and after graduation, heading back to Boston to work at Goodwin Procter. Hailing from California, I don't think a Red Sox fan, Leah Wong completed her undergraduate studies at the University of California, San Diego. At Penn Law, she served as co-president of the American Constitution Society's Penn Law chapter, and she was the co-director of our International Human Rights Advocates Pro Bono group. During her time here, Leah also worked as a legal intern for the United Nations Human Rights Division in Geneva, Switzerland, and upon graduation will head to work at Latham & Watkins in New York City. Leah and Chris.
Deja vu. Good afternoon, guests. This is the amazing Leah Wong. My name is Chris O'Brien. As two of the class of 2018 officers, we'd like to take a moment to speak to you about the gift our class has chosen to leave to future generations of Penn Law students. When we thought about a class gift, we wanted to embody a theme that is embedded in the very fabric of Penn Law School. A mantra of sorts that we heard from the moment we began our journey. It wouldn't be a Penn Law graduation if we didn't speak to you about collegiality. In times where people across the world and country can feel divided, our community has always strived to be in this journey together. Whether that's sharing notes, words of encouragement, ideas, an ear, or even a shoulder, the classmates in this hall have always had our backs and each other's since day one. Through every step, ups and downs, time and time again, our community has come together to embody collegiality at its very best.
But it's hard to capture the meaning of collegiality in a gift. However, the class of 2018 aspired to do just that. Our donations contributed recreation to our courtyard and improvements to Dean Clinton's Wellness and Inclusion Lounge. We hope years of students will not only relax and have fun at law school, but also learn outside of the classroom just as much as we have inside the classroom. It is in those moments and spaces where we solidified our bonds, found our people, celebrated our diversity, and overcame our adversity. So the class gift will also contribute to a scholarship so that future students will one day understand collegiality as we have come to understand it, in all of our unique and shared experiences. The class gifts this year are a nod to the class of 2018 and a manifestation of hope for the future.
Because in the last 3 years, the class of 2018 has given far more than just money for 1 or even 3 gifts. Our colleagues have contributed so much more. Their talents, skills, and dreams, their willingness to learn, and openness to grow together, respect and friendship with those both similar and different from ourselves.
We have shared our resilience through individual and collective hardships and support for one another, from the smallest of gestures to those that will last a lifetime. We have all contributed a sense of responsibility to this place we called home. We have all made Penn Law, Penn Law.
So whether it's playing in the courtyard or finding a moment of quietude in the new lounge, or the opportunity to simply walk through these doors and walk out with a team behind you,
the class of 2018's parting gift commemorates, embodies, and continues all that Penn Law has meant to us. Moments of belonging, groundedness and growth, and an opportunity to achieve all of our highest aspirations.
Thank you to the class of 2018.
Congrats!
Thank you, class of 2018. And that's the last time we'll ever ask you for money. Excuse me. Wait, my script is messed up today. Okay, so it's now my honor to welcome and introduce this year's commencement speaker, Preet Bharara. As quoted in a New Yorker article by Jeffrey Toobin, former FBI Director James Comey once said that Bharara, quote, has somehow managed to be incredibly smart, principled, independent, and hilarious all at the same time. Well, We'll have to wait a few minutes to evaluate your joke-telling abilities, but I know from admiring your career, I can, as many of us have, that we can certainly vouch for your intelligence, your commitment to justice, and your integrity, which are all evident in your career as a public servant, and we're so happy to have you with us today. As the former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Mr. Bharara charged dozens on Wall Street with insider trading, convicted leaders in both houses of the New York State Legislature on corruption charges, and led what was considered to be one of the largest gang takedowns in New York history. Mr. Bharara was born in India, and his parents came to the United States when he was just 2 years old. After graduating from Harvard College and Columbia Law School, well, we'll forgive you that, and while at Columbia Law School, Preet Bharara was a member of the Columbia Law Review. He then began what would become a noted career in public service in the private sector, working for 2 different private law firms before becoming an assistant U.S. attorney in Manhattan. After 5 years in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, he joined the staff of the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee's Subcommittee on Administrative Oversight and the Courts, serving as chief counsel and staff director, and helping lead the investigation into the firings of U.S. attorneys by former Attorney General Alberto Gonzales. In 2009, Mr. Bharara was nominated by President Barack Obama to become U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, where he became a thorn in the side of Wall Street insider traders and corrupt politicians, and a model for prosecutorial independence. In his career, which has been exceptional, Mr. Bharara has followed a path that many lawyers and many Penn Law graduates follow, moving back and forth between the private sector and public service, moving from one track to another in building a fulsome and successful career as opportunities to do one or the other present themselves. He's now moved on to another role, working in the media as one who hosts a podcast, Stay Tuned with Preet, which is a great podcast about justice and fairness, as well as teaching and spending time writing as an adjunct professor of law and distinguished scholar in residence at NYU School of Law. I think I'm confident in saying these will not be the last chapters in this distinguished public life, and we're so happy and privileged to welcome Preet Bharara. Please join me.
Dean Ruger, distinguished faculty, proud parents, family, friends, and graduates, congratulations once again to the class of 2018. Give yourselves another round of applause, please. This is an intimidating venue. I feel like maybe I should sing something. I'm not going to. Thank you for that kind introduction. Dean, as happens sometimes out of etiquette, people will just say, former United States Attorney, he left that job. I was fired from that job by someone you may have heard of. And it's all fine, because here I am with all of you. So this is not the first time I have been in some way a part of a University of Pennsylvania commencement exercise. I was here in Philadelphia 25 years ago for the graduation of my brother from the college. He was an undergraduate here. And it occurs to me as I heard the dean speak at the outset about nonlinear paths in the law that I would just share that quick story with you, because I think there's a lesson or two in it before I get to my main remarks. So my brother and I both grew up in New Jersey. We both went to college at great schools. He went to the University of Pennsylvania. I went to Harvard. And we went to the same law school. And then after law school, he was 3 years behind me. Then after law school, we both went to work for fairly large firms in New York. And then after a few years of that, we both went to work for smaller firms, and our paths sort of diverged a little bit. And I went into public service, and I became an assistant U.S. attorney and worked in the Senate. And eventually, I thought, won the sibling rivalry by becoming the United States Attorney, nominated by the President, confirmed by the Senate. I had subpoena power, which I miss very much. And my brother decided that he got bitten by the business bug, and he started an internet company. Didn't do that great. I lost money in it. Then I was pissed off. Then he did some other sort of business things, and then at some point he decided that he was going to try a new venture with his best friend from high school. And after spending all that money in law school, my parents already disappointed that neither of their sons became doctors. They watched my brother seemingly throw it all away for the latest harebrained business venture, this time selling, of all things, diapers. Some of you may know the story, but my parents went overnight seeing my brother be a distinguished graduate of great institutions and a Harlan Fiske Stone Scholar at Columbia Law School, to selling diapers on the internet under the slogan, and this is true, "We're number one in number two." My parents were so proud. Remember, I had subpoena power, so I totally had won. So every time I tell that story, people laugh, and you laugh, and so did my brother when he sold Diapers.com, the parent company, Quidsi, to Amazon for $540 million. Now, I tell that story also because it provides a real-life case study of sorts. Make yourselves known in the class of 2018 or otherwise if you're a member of the Law Review. No, there's no member of the Law Review? That's how proud you are? Okay, all right, fine. Wow. That's an indictment. So my brother and I, as I've explained, had basically parallel lives. We had the same, but based on representations made by our parents, we believed that we, had the same parents. How do we know? We both went to great universities. We both went to the exact same law school. We had the same sort of legal training afterwards. And basically, the only material difference in the path of my brother and me is that I was on the Law Review and he wasn't. So you actually have, based on the parallel paths of my brother and me, the makings of a clear calculation of the precise dollar value of the worth of being on the Law Review. And it turns out that that value is negative $540 million. Which is maybe why the folks here who I think you have a Law Review, right? Acted like they're in the witness protection program. Look, poverty is fine. So let's recap. If for some reason you leave the law, start an online diaper company, then sell it for $500 million. If, on the other hand, you stay on the path of the law, and I sincerely hope you do, my advice is a little different. And it may be a little bit surprising. Beyond the usual encouragement to work hard and to give back, I have another wish for you graduates as you embark on your legal careers. And my one wish is this, that you practice law like a human being. And so what does that mean, and why is that important? So let me tell you another story. When I was in high school, I entered public speaking competitions. It's good preparation for this. And one category of competition was delivering a speech previously delivered by someone else. That's sort of the super nerd version of covering a song. So in 10th grade, at age 15, I came across the defense summation delivered in a case called The People versus Henry Sweet. The facts were these. Dr. Ossian Sweet had moved his family into a new house in a neighborhood in Detroit. Dr. Sweet was a black man, and his white neighbors didn't want a black family in their midst. It was 1925. Some of you may know the case. On their second night in the house, an angry mob descended upon them. The mob yelled and threw rocks, and in the ensuing chaos, while defending the home, Dr. Sweet's younger brother, Henry, fired a gun into the crowd, and a white man was killed. And so Henry Sweet found himself on trial for murder. Now, lucky for him, his lawyer was Clarence Darrow. And in the case of the People versus Henry Sweet, Clarence Darrow delivered one of the most beautiful summations I think ever spoken, and you should read it if you haven't. Now, Darrow talked about the facts of the case and argued the law of self-defense, but he also talked about justice and the plight of African-American men and women, slavery having only recently been abolished. And he preached that the essence of justice did not reside in the law alone. He said of the African American in America at that time, quote, "The law has made him equal, but man has not. And after all, the last analysis is what has man done and not what has the law done?" Close quote. 93 years later, by the way, that question remains as relevant as ever. And Darrow also said this, a passage that I memorized a long time ago. He said, "After all, every human being's life in this world is inevitably mixed with every other life. And no matter what laws we pass, no matter what precautions we take, unless the people we meet are kindly and decent and human and liberty-loving, then there is no liberty. Freedom comes from human beings rather than from laws and institutions." And to this day, no class, no professor, no law book has ever conveyed to me more powerfully or persuasively what it means to be a human being as a lawyer than those words I committed to memory so many years ago as a pimpled adolescent. Justice, you will find, sometimes springs more from the heart than from the head. Law school has certainly taught you to keep your mind sharp, but don't ever forget to keep your heart full. Nothing great was ever accomplished with a cynical heart. Above all things, remember always to act and feel like a real person. You would think you wouldn't have to say that, but you sometimes do. And remember also that everyone you come across, colleagues and adversaries alike, they are human beings too. So to my mind, being a human being as a lawyer means a lot of things, both large and small. Here's one thing that may seem small, but it's more important than you might think. To be a human being means speaking like an actual human being. With all due respect to the esteemed law faculty here, in addition to your law degree, you have effectively also spent 3 years earning a degree in a foreign language. It's called legalese, and you should do your best to unlearn it. That also means speak simply. Speak to persuade and to inform, not just to impress. You want to impress people? Speak simply. You want to prevail? Speak simply. Simplicity always wins. Now, that doesn't mean, I know you're thinking, that doesn't mean you have to speak as simply as we're number one and number two. But I think you get the point. And of course, you should have complex thoughts. We need complexity of thought now more than ever before. But you can still present those thoughts in a simple and understandable way. If you speak simply, you're more likely to sound sincere. If you speak simply, you're more likely to be thinking clearly. We have too many bizarre and artificial speech patterns in the law. We had this issue when I was trying cases in the office and overseeing cases where people would begin a direct examination asking people who were on the witness stand, "How are you employed?" No one talks like that. You say, "What do you do for a living? What's your job?" Prosecutors are not immune from this, even though we're taught to try to speak simply. There was one occasion when I was a junior prosecutor and everyone's trying to remember and apply the rules of evidence and being very careful in how they speak in court, but it can infect your regular language too, which is another reason why not everyone loves talking to lawyers. We were standing around in the hallway preparing late, 8 or 9 p.m. one night with a few friends, and June Kim, who later became the acting United States attorney, was talking about a restaurant he had gone to with his wife the night before, and someone else asked the question about the restaurant, you know, "What, if anything, did you order?" That's a true story. He didn't want to assume that he took his wife to the restaurant and that they had food. Something happens between the brain, with the brain sometimes when you practice law, and there's a corollary to speaking simply. Sometimes don't speak at all. Sometimes shut up. Lawyers should spend much more time exercising their right to remain silent, and we also see that now in lots of places. Listening is all too often more important than speaking, says the long-winded commencement speaker. Yes, I get that. Listen to what the partner asks. Listen to what the client wants. Listen to what the witness says. Listen to what the adversary argues. Listen also for what is not being said, because that can speak volumes too. All of this, by the way, is more than just advice about language and communication. It's about leadership too. Speak simply and listen intently. Those, I think, are the hallmarks of great leaders and not just great lawyers. It is a sign of respect. It will win you respect in return, and it will win you followers. Now, even more important than speaking like a real person is acting like a good person. It is possible to be a first-class lawyer and an honorable and likable person at the same time. I know you are doubtful, but it's possible. Those are the law review people, I think. Wherever you are. Law practice has gotten increasingly coarse, and too often in the heat of supposed battle, lawyers seem to lose all perspective. You know, not every litigation or corporate dispute is World War III. The law may be an ass, as Dickens wrote, but lawyers don't have to be. Always remember that your opponents in a legal case are not your mortal enemies. They are merely your adversaries in an admirable system that should treat every participant with dignity and respect. We should maybe remember that in our politics also. You can and should be friends with your adversaries. You should learn from them, and they should learn from you. All of this, by the way, goes double for your colleagues, whether they're your superiors, your subordinates, or your peers, because they are human beings too. You are not robots working in parallel at a factory. Try to be the kind of colleague that people want to take a bullet for, not the kind of colleague that people fantasize about putting a bullet in. I have seen too many lawyers who manage by intimidation and fear, whose default mode is to bludgeon or belittle, and they justify it by claiming to be perfectionists who just demand excellence. That's a load of nonsense, and don't ever fall for it or emulate it. Abusive people are weak, not strong. As the late five-star general and commander-in-chief, Dwight Eisenhower, not a weak person, once said, "You don't lead by hitting people over the head. That's assault, not leadership." By the way, remembering that everyone you come across as a human being is not just a pleasant aspiration, is an essential part of joining the ranks of truly great lawyers everywhere. They know that knowledge gained from law books is no substitute for understanding human nature. You will one day encounter a witness too terrified to testify. No law book is going to explain how to coax that person onto the stand. You will one day meet a stubborn client who is keeping things from you. No law book is going to teach you how to draw that client out. I can give 1,000 examples, and I talked about that all the time when I was a U.S. attorney. Much of what you need to learn and understand and feel doesn't come from a law book. The best lawyers are not just counselors and advocates, but comforters and confidants and crisis managers too. Let's talk about kindness and decency. There is not enough of it in law practice and in a lot of places these days. I have always been fond of what Kurt Vonnegut once said, quote, "Please, a little less love, a little more common decency." When you show concern for another person, when you do them a favor, when you perform a small kindness, when there is nothing in it for you, that leaves a mark, a positive mark, whatever the opposite of a scar would be. When you are kind to people, they work harder, they try harder, they do better. So be kind. Here's the other thing. When you're kind to people, they remember it. There were people who were kind to me when they didn't have to be, when I was just coming up. And I remember that. When I became somebody, I also remember the people who were not kind to me. Yes, I did. Things like that matter. Shower them on other people and appreciate them when they happen to you. Kindness and toughness, by the way, are not mutually exclusive. Tough doesn't mean ruthless, and it doesn't mean abusive. In the end, approaching the law like a human being is to recognize that justice is ultimately accomplished by people. Systems are important, and the structure of our government is incredibly important. Checks and balances are important, and all of that matters, but they're not enough. Not far from here, I brought my family on a family vacation once. I was telling the dean earlier, because I'm so exciting that way, I brought them to Philadelphia, to the National Constitution Center. And there's a place there where a famous quote from Learned Hand appears. And it's this, and it parallels what Clarence Darrow said in the Sweet case. Learned Hand once said back in 1944, quote, "I often wonder whether we do not rest our hopes too much upon constitutions, upon laws, upon courts. These are false hopes. Believe me, these are false hopes. Liberty lies in the hearts of men and women. When it dies there, no constitution, no law, no court can save it." Close quote. So consider again Darrow's summation in the Sweet case. Quote, "After all, the last analysis is what has man done and not what has the law done." The all-white jury in that case, by the way, acquitted Henry Sweet. And so as you graduate today, remember always that the law is merely an instrument, and without the involvement of human hands, the law is as lifeless and as uninspiring as a violin kept in its case. The law cannot compel us to love each other or respect each other. It cannot cancel hate or conquer evil, teach grace or extinguish apathy. Every day, the law's best aims are carried out for good or ill by human beings. Justice is served or thwarted by human beings. Mercy is bestowed or refused by human beings. It is, after all, the flesh and blood lawyer who chooses how hard to work, which risks to take, which argument to push, which offer to accept, which line to draw in the sand, and which client's cause to make her own. And so, whether you are one day privileged to wear a robe or wield a subpoena, defend a criminal or counsel a company, decency and discretion will always be more important than mere legal knowledge and well-written laws. And here's why I say that. The law is not self-executing. It is not self-actualizing. Google may be developing a driverless car, but there will never be, and there can never be, a lawyerless legal system. And that is as it should be. A business plan is in the execution. A joke is in the telling. A sheet of music is in the playing. And so it is with a system of laws. And so here we are at the Academy of Music, I believe the oldest opera house in America. And it may seem an odd venue, in a way, to celebrate legal achievement and the minting of an army of new lawyers. But maybe not. Here's how I see it. Your forebears gave you a gift. They fashioned an amazing instrument, the law, to achieve justice and improve society. And then this law school gave you a further gift. It taught you how to play. And in the coming years, as you master the form and perfect your craft, don't just use your head. Use your heart. Don't just play the notes. Make music. And for the real people whose causes you champion, the music you make will be as sublime as anything ever performed in this theater. And I do sincerely hope that you and the people you meet along the way are kindly and decent and human and liberty-loving, because all of our freedom depends on it. The law has never been more important than now. Good lawyers have never been more important than now. And great leaders have never been more important than now. That means you. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Preet Bharara, for that thoughtful and inspiring talk. You've left us with much to think about the majesty of the law and the role of humanity in our profession, and also diapers. So thank you. We're ready to award some diplomas, yes? We have 242 students receiving the JD degree, 116 students from more than 35 countries receiving the LLM degree, 1 student receiving the LLCM, the Master in Comparative Law degree, and 14 students receiving a relatively new degree. This is our 3rd year awarding it, called the Master in Law, which reflects our philosophy that law is not just limited to lawyers, but a legal education extends to these 14 graduates who are leading doctors, nurses, engineers, research scientists, educators, social workers, and financial experts who have been at Penn Law learning in the course of this 1-year degree. So in total, about 400 students will come across the stage. Please help me and join with all of us in celebrating all of them. So thank you, and we'll turn to the degrees.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my great honor to present to you this year's Master in Law degree recipients. Pamela Beatrice, Michelle Dolce, Leah Alexandra Ferentinos, Sarah Finnerty, Marley Goldschmidt, Ronald Littman, Tracy Longs with her daughters Melissa and Ciara Longs. Chantal Lowe, Mohammed Mehdi Musavian, Reina Jiming Q, Caitlin Rainier in absentia, Jessica Steigerwalt, Andrew Lawrence Thumb, and last but not least, Christine Weston. Ladies and gentlemen, our Master in Law degree recipients.
Good afternoon. With great pleasure, allow me to introduce our LLCM graduate this year, Jesus Villegas Ruiz. And now, our LLM class of 2018 graduates. Gustavos Almada Oleas. Ignacio Alonso Valverde. Michael Amugu. Hillary Asa Sierra. Marta Basastuk. Boris Belkin. Charyupat Bunlong. Marine Bouaziz. Maxence Boucher. Beatrice Brown. Marino Castillo Moreno. Juan Ceballos with his daughter. Pauline Chatra Pirom. Yiling Chen. Moonjiao Chen. Nancy Chen. Tanjiao Chen. Wenxun Shen with his daughter Sue Yi. Jake Chutima. Rafaela Chicala. Adersula Coker. Fabio Contente. Jose Tomas Correa with daughter Elena. Paloma de Carlos Sebastian. Juliana Del Pesco. Mark Diab Malouf. Wei Ding. Injia Ding. Talia Jamal. Enrico Doria. Hamza El Muahid. Bruno Fiorino. Andres Fonseca. Michelle Frausen. Cesar Galvez. Silvana Garcia Pedreyes. Chi Gao with daughter Cindy. Rosemary Hafush Manzour. Clara Hookletner. Qingyi Huang. Shengyan Huang. Ya Ping Huang. Keiko Ita. Alexander Ivanov. Alicia Jadhav. Anan Han. Ju-sung Kim. Ki-on Jun Kim. Sean Ko. Talia Kornitzer. Akihito Kuchakata. All right. Andres Kirsten, and I believe Catherine Kirsten, Penn Law class of 2014 graduate. His wife will be conferring his diploma. Jonathan Lazar. Daniel Dong-Hoon Lee. Sung Jun Lee. Mario Leslie Soto. Jingli Lee. Hebron Abreu de Lima. Joanna Pimentel Gomez. Hung Yu Lin. Yishun Louis. Lian Liu. Cheng Yang Ma. Hiroaki Matsui. Anastasia Maureen. Artal Tui Mendolawi. Anna Mikes. Hafizi Rosali. John Morgan. Keita Nakano. Yoko Nakata. Quan Chi O. Thomas Lamouche. Rana Ozar. Sritarth Pali. Marlena Panotsopolo. Avantika Panvar. So-Young Park. Shirin Paul. Joachim Piotrowski. Anusha Ramash. Amana Rajan. Mauricio Roscan Curie. Waratan Ratas Ambat. Shoriano Ray. Asaf Raz. Malish Rapa. Sauranrat Roja Singh Sawad. Camila Rojas. Yuhei Sakau. Yu Xue. Masashi Shimojo. Kojiro Shiraki. David Yoral Sokal de la Osa. Luciana Sodre. Miriam Sokadza. Igu Song. Sakuya Sanoda in absentia. Okay. Kritipath Sirnong Kot. Lena Shutanovats. Yoko Takahata. Hiroyosa Omeda. Tamomi Umeda. Michele Evangelisti. Florence Van Hula. Yi Chen Wang. Rachel Wang. War Antorn Wanichta Warn. Hao Wen Shu. Sotoma Yamatoya. Ming Yang. Sok Yong Yang with Hu Zhan and Hu Jie. Xu Lei Yi. Yujia Zhang. Xinwu Zhao. Yu Chen Zhu. Allow me to present to you the class of 2018 LLM and LLCM graduates.
Dean Ruger, my fellow colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my distinct honor to present to you the JD class of 2018. Maria Abadia. Myrna Abumati. Joshua Abraham. Pratik Agarwal. Teresa Akara. Abdulrahman Awetar. Samantha Arena. Michelle Armenteros. Dana Bach. Samuel Baldinger with 2-year-old Layla. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a wonderful tradition here at Penn Law where a faculty member, parent, grandparent, or spouse of the graduate may present the diploma. At this time, I'd like to ask Bradley Beckman, class of '88, to please come forward to present the diploma to his daughter, Rachel Beckman. Rachel is a 4th-generation Penn Law grad. Raul Beke. Ilani Tamarat Belai. Judah Bellin with 15-month-old Ben. Patrick Berry. Benjamin Bretan. Brittany Byer. Gregory Bishoping. Ryan Blake. Anne Bracalia. Joseph Brett Schneider. Christopher Bergranti. Genevieve Bergerweiser. Thomas Campbell. Carolyn Carpenter. Arnav Chatterjee. Iyang Chiang. Justine Chu. Erica Clark. Matthew Kloss. Brendan Coonihan. Paul Cozy. Michael Crossan. Christopher Crookshank. Ralph Culpepper. Taylor Daly. Justin Daniel with his children Henry 3 and Alice 8 months. Griffin Davis. Matthew DeStasio. DeMarie. Wendy Dickison. Anthony Doss. Mara Douglas. Stephanie Dowd. Elissa Eisenberg. Adam Elson. Patrick Elias. Daniel Epstein. Marika Fain. Alawasun Familoni. Matthew Feldman with 7-year-old son Zeke. Price Felker. Kyle Ferrier. Stevie Flannery. Michael Fletcher. Paul Ford. Jeremy Gagas. Shakar Ganat. Tonique Garrett. At this time, if the Honorable Gary Gilman, class of '76, please come forward to present the diploma to your son, Jonathan Gilman. Michael Gonin. Caitlin Gottlieb. Zachary Green. Franklin Gregg. Chaim Aaron Gross. In absentia. Eric Grubo. David Gutierrez. Nicholas Hall. Bobby Hampton. Daniel Hahn. Chelsea Hansen. Gregory Harris. Laura Harrison. Jennifer Hartjes. Cassandra Harivo. John Hayburn. Andrew Herschel. Irene Hong. Joanna Hoods. Akbar Hussein. Cruz. Evan Hunt. Jeffrey Intravitola. Carolyn Jackson. Alexander G. Madeline Jollis. Leandra Laney Mukamambindo. Andrea Jung. Skylar Kalin. Alexander Kang. Michelle Cow. At this time, if John Carney, class of 65, could please come forward to present the diploma to his son, Brian Carney. Elizabeth Kelly. Calvin Ketchum. Jacqueline Kim. Ju Kim, in absentia. Jordan King. Catherine King. Elvira Kirilko. William Curtin. Susanna Kneidenberg. Jennifer Coe. Emma Kolisar. Jane Komsky. John Kostelnak. Youngwon Kwan. Hoyi Cynthia Lamb. Alyssa Latner. Drew Lawson. Tu Lee. Benjamin Lee with 4-year-old Jin Suk. Jamin Lee, in absentia. Ji-un Lee. Noel Lee. Mung Lee. Samantha Licata. Ping Chu Lin, in absentia. Max Linder. Ryan Lowry. Alfred Lucia. Sarah Lynch. Yu Ma. Mary McGinnis. Malini Malhotra. Andrew Mileniak, in absentia. Thomas Mendrakia. Jennifer Mao Jones. Alexander McCammon. Chase McReynolds. At this time, if E. Scott Mead, class of '82, could come forward to please present the diploma to his daughter, Elizabeth Mead. Joshua Mehta. Ryan Monahan. Emily Mondry. Ronald Moore. Christopher Morales. Chase Morgan. Kevin Moo. Altamash Mufti. Adam Newman. Leah Novak. Eliza Novik Smith. Christopher O'Brien. Eli Ort. Travis Ortiz. Albert Pack. Anthony Palladino. Kimberly Panian. Kayoung Park. Carlin Parsamian. David Pennant. Nicole Pennycook. David Peters. Sarah Phillips. Zachary Pogast. Jonathan Pryor, in absentia. Paul Quincy. At this time, if Carl Rao, class of '65, could please come forward to present the diploma to his daughter, Olivia Rao. Mia Rendar. Kyla Risco. Christopher Rittner, in absentia. Daniel Roberts, with 6-year-old Aiden and 3.5-year-old Emily. Taj Robinson. Shelby Roquito. Adeline Rolnick. Reuven Rosen, with Braca 8, Benny 6, Ileana 3. Joseph Rosenberg, with 2-year-old Dovie. Charles Rosenthal. Sean Rosenthal. Jake Ruthier. Arhama Rushdie. Andrew Rutsky. Aaron Ryan. Elizabeth Sonner. Alexis Salerno. Adrian Sanchez. Deborah Sands. Ernesto Sanz. Akila Sarati. Jeffrey Schick. Colleen Schmalberger. James Schuster. Samuel Scott. Danielle Sekarak. Jill Sedemeyer. Jane Sue. David Sheps. Brittany Sherman. Layli Shabani. Ray Shee. Joshua Singh. Jeremy Sklarloff. Aaron Smith. Yvette Soki. Jonathan Sorger. Joshua Spector. Shelby Stanton. Paul Steffen. Ilana Stern. Christopher Strategis with 3-year-old Beth. Nicholas Tabor. Brittany Taylor. Robert Thrasher. Frederick Tippett. Garrison Todd. Devin Troy. Genevieve Urban. Bianca Valcarci. Ruth Helen Vasilis. Kiara Vaughn. Hannah Victor. Benjamin Vinograd. Anthony Vitti. Timothy Walker. Andrew Wallach. Alexander Walsh. Hungda Wang. Renan Wang. Catherine Waters. Mac Weber. Francis Weil. Michael Weil. Jenna Weinblatt. David Weintraub. Ian Weiss. Benjamin White. Daniel Welch. Jamie Wiebold. Anthony Wilderson. Sean Wilds. Ronald Williams. Brian Williamson. Alexis Wisely. Andrew Wan. Catherine Wong. Leah Wong. Kevin Wynoski. Sophia Yan. Yu Yang. Mengfi Ying, in absentia. Young Suk Yoon. Lumin Yu. Michael Zavagno. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the Penn Law JD class of 2018.
Graduates of the class of 2018 from Penn Law, you have our congratulations and our best wishes. The families, friends, loved ones, parents, children, spouses, partners who are here, we thank you for all the support you've given this tremendous group of graduates. And here we draw the ceremony to a close. Earlier this weekend, the recipients of various honors and graduation awards were notified. It's not our practice to make the presentations here, but I do want to salute those, and they're in your program. All of you have been incredibly talented and successful here. We are so proud of you and so confident in your future. We're going to dismiss soon. I ask all of the members of the audience to please remain in your places until the platform party and the graduates have left the auditorium. And with great pleasure and pride in the success of our graduates, I hereby declare the 2018 Penn Law Commencement Convocation concluded. Go forth and do justice.